Jaya Nilo Prema Dhana Karuna Prachur Jaya Nilo Prema Dhana Karuna Prachur Heno Prabhu Kotha Gela Charja Ṭhākura Heno Prabhu Kotha Gela Charja Ṭhākura Kaha mora swarup rupa Kaha sanatan Kaha mora swarup rupa Kaha sanatan Kaha dāsa raghunatha patita pavan Kaha dāsa raghunatha patita pavan Kaha mora bhata juga Kaha kabira Kaha mora bhata juga Kaha kabira Kaha mora bhata juga Kaha kabira Ek khale khotham gela Gauranga tāra Ek khale khotha gela Gauranga tāra Pashane kudivo madha anale phashivo Pashane kudivo anale Pashane kuthiyo matha anale phashivo Gauranga gunera nidhi kotha gele pavo. Gauranga gunera nidhi kotha gele pavo. Sheshaba Shangira Shange Jekolo Bilas. Sheshaba Shangira Shange Jekolo Bilas. Se Sangana Payam Kande Narottama Das. Se Sangana Paya Kande Narottama Das. Jayanilo prema dhana karuna prachur. Jayanilo prema dhana karuna prachur. Jayanilo Eno Prabhu Kotha Gela Charja Ṭhākura. Eno Prabhu Kotha Gela Charja Ṭhākura. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privrajakaacharya Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Śrīla A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privrajakaacharya Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Ṭhākura Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Ṭhākura Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadvip Dham ki jai, Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Yamuna Mai ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to these Sama devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to these Sama devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to these Sama devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupada. So today is the disappearance day of Sri Shivananda Sain. Oh, yeah. He who brought the treasure of divine love and who was filled with compassion and mercy. Where has such a personality as Srinivas Acharya gone? Where are my Swarup Damodar and Rupa Goswami? Where is Sanatana? Where is Raghunath Das, the savior of the fallen? Where are my Raghunath Bhatta and Gopal Bhatta? And where is Krishna Das Kaviraj? Where did Lord Gauranga, the great dancer, suddenly go? I will smash my head against a rock and enter into fire. Where will I find Lord Gauranga, the reservoir of all wonderful qualities? Being unable to obtain the association of Lord Gauranga, accompanied by all of those devotees in whose association he performed his pastimes, Narottam Das simply weeps. So we'll read about Sri Shivananda Sain. Every year, 1 month before Chaturmasya, the 4-month period of the rainy season, Shivananda Sain would lead a party of 200 devotees from Bengal to Jagannath Puri to attend the annual Ratha Yatra festival. He would pay for everyone's food, tolls, ferries, and lodging. He personally arranged for their comfort. Shivananda Sain showed Vaishnava compassion for all living entities, be they man or beast. When a stray dog joined the party, Shivananda Sain fed the dog and even paid his boat fare. When the dog disappeared one day, Shivananda Sain sent 200 men to search for him. Upon arriving in Puri, they saw Lord Chaitanya throwing coconut pulp to the dog. The dog became purified of all contamination by eating the Mahaprasadam remnants of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Not seeing the dog the next day, Shivananda Sain understood that the dog had attained liberation by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Observing Chaturmasya in Puri, Shivananda and the devotees would regularly bathe in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's blissful association. Shivananda used all his possessions in the service of Krishna and the Vaishnavas. His entire family and servants were ardent followers of Lord Gauranga. Kavi Karnapur, the son of Shivananda Sain, says in the Gauranga Dipika, Shivananda Sain is the embodiment of love for Sri Chaitanya Dev, and in Krishna Lila he is Viragopi, Srimati Radharani's messenger. In one bhajan, Devaki Nandan Das glorifies him. I bow down to Shivananda Sain, who is full of divine love. His caste, life, and wealth are the 2 lotus feet of Sri Gauraraya. His samadhi is in the 64 samadhis area. Sri Shivananda Sain ki jai. So now we'll read a little bit about Swarup Damodar Goswami. One of the closest associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Purushottam Acharya Swarup, knew exactly the heart of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Glorifying him as the storehouse of all devotional mellows, Lord Chaitanya added the word Damodar to his name. Swarup Damodar revealed to the world the innermost emotions of Sri Chaitanya's mood of Radharani, feeling separation from Krishna. Sensing Lord Gauranga's mood, Swarup Damodar would perform kirtan to enhance the Lord's internal sentiments, to soothe Lord Chaitanya's love pangs in the Viraha Bhav. He would sing songs from Gita Govinda, Krishna Karnamrita, and the love poems of Chandidas and Vidyapati. Throughout the day and night, Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Roy stayed near Sri Chaitanya in order to nourish his pastimes. He is one of the 3 he's one of the 3 1/2 most intimate devotees of Lord Chaitanya, Ramananda Roy, Sika Mahiti, Madhavi Devi. Just as, Just as Lalita and Vishaka are Radharani's dearest gopis, Swarup Damodar, Vishaka Sakhi, and Ramananda Roy, Lalita Sakhi, are Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's most confidential associates. Swarup Damodar was the guardian of the Gaudiya devotees. So whenever a devotee misbehaved, Lord Gaurasundar would say, Swarup, your Gaudiya did such and such. Swarup Damodar would personally check for grammatical or philosophical flaws in any newly written verse, song, or book before giving it to Lord Chaitanya for approval. Krishnadas Kaviraj used Swarup Damodar's Karcha, memoirs of Sri Chaitanya's life, to compile the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Swarup Damodar Goswami also wrote Sangita Damodar, a book of music. His samadhi is in the 64 samadhis area. Shri Swarup Damodar Goswami ki jai. And if anybody has anything to add on these acharyas, perhaps. Okay, so then we'll move on to the Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 19, text number 14. 14. Yatha aihika amushmaka kama lambata suteshu dareshu dhaneshu chintayan shanketa vidvan kukale varatyayad yas tasya yatna shrama eva kevalam yathahi kamushmika kamalambata suteshu dareshu dhaneshu chintayan shanketa vidvan kukale varatyayad yastasya yatna shrama eva kevalam yataiha kamushmika kamalambata suteshu dareshu dhaneshu chintayan shanketa vidvan kukale varatyayad yastasya yatna shrama eva kevalam yatthaiha kamushmika kamalambata suteshu dareshu dhaneshu chintayan shanketa vidvan kukale varatyayad yastasya yatna shrama eva kevalam Yatha, as, aihika, in the present life, amushmika, in the expected future. In the expected future life. Kamalambata, a person who is very attached to lusty desires for bodily enjoyment. Suteshu, children. Dareshu, wife. Dhaneshu, wealth. Chintayan, thinking about. Shankita is afraid. Vidvan, a person advanced in spiritual knowledge. Kukalevara, of this body which is full of stool and urine. Atyayat, because of loss. Ya, anyone. Tasya, his. Yatna, endeavors. Shrama, a waste of time and energy. Eva, certainly. Kevalam, only. Translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Materialists are generally very attached to their present bodily comforts and to the bodily comforts they expect in the future. Therefore, they are always absorbed in thoughts of their wives, children, and wealth, and are afraid of giving up their bodies, which are full of stool and urine. If a person engaged in Krishna consciousness, however, is also afraid of giving up his body, what is the use of his having labored to study the Shastras? It was simply a waste of time. At the time of death, a materialist thinks of his wife and children. At the time of death, a materialist thinks of his wife and children. He is absorbed in thinking of how they will live and who will take care of them after he leaves. Consequently, he is never prepared to give up his body. Rather, he wants to continue to live in his body and to serve society, family, friends, and so on. Therefore, by practicing the mystic yoga system, one must become detached from bodily relationships. If despite practicing bhakti-yoga and studying all the Vedic literature, one is afraid of giving up his bad body, which is the cause of all his suffering, what is the use of his attempts to advance in spiritual life? The secret of success in practicing yoga The secret of success in practicing yoga is to become free from bodily attachments. Śrīla Narottama Ṭhākura says, deha-smṛti, nāhi, yāra, saṁsāra-bandhana, kāhāṅ. One whose practice has freed him from the anxieties of bodily needs is no longer in conditioned life. Such a person is freed from conditional bondage. A person in Krishna consciousness must fully discharge his devotional duties without material attachment. Then his liberation is guaranteed. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana-Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Shreshtam Manumapi Shachi Putramatra Swarupam Rupam Tasyagrajam Urupurim Mathurim Goshtavatim Radha Kundam Girivaramaho Radhika Madhavasham Prapto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghanatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So there's a very similar verse to this one in the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. I was reminded of this verse by this last line, Yastasya yatna shrama eva kevalam. So this verse, Srimad Bhagavatam 1-8, goes, Dharma svanashtata pumsam vishvaksena kathasyat notpadayed yadiratim shrama eva hi kevalam. That although one may execute his duties within the varnashram system very rigidly and very attentively, if such duties don't awaken one's attraction to Krishna, to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then shrama eva hi kevalam, then they're all a waste of time. So this verse is emphasizing exactly this. So materialists are generally very attached to their present bodily comforts and to the bodily comforts they expect in the future. And we see this practically, that people are trying to secure bodily comforts in so many abominable ways. Practically all of the violence that we're seeing in the world, that we've ever seen in the world, all these wars and things like that, people are trying to secure their own bodily comforts. And Prabhupada makes the point that not just their bodily comforts, it's not. Prabhupada makes a distinction between concentrated selfishness and extended selfishness. So concentrated selfishness is thinking of my personal bodily comforts and securing those. But Prabhupada also makes the point that people also extend their selfishness to their society, their family, their nation, even all to all of humankind. Actually, it's all just extensions of one's own selfishness, that they're just looking out for I and mine. So they're trying to secure an amazing future for themselves. They're trying to secure a very comfortable and secure future. But what is the reality? The reality is that actually they have a horrible future awaiting them. They engage in so much sinful activity. They're so attached, and even if they don't engage in super gross sinful activity, still their future is so horrible. It's terrible. Prabhupada, he was talking once about George Harrison. He was saying George Harrison, he's very nice. We have this very nice man in England who's given us this nice house, but the previous owner was so attached to the house that now he's living as a ghost within the house. So imagine such a terrible future. You become attached to your edhana jovana putra parijana ite kyache paratitire. Govindas Kaviraj is singing. You become attached to all of these, to your wealth, your wife, and your children. But what's the use? What protection can it give us? What security is there in those things? Because all of those things are described as fallible soldiers. Just like if you take shelter, the Bible gives this, at least I think it's the Bible. It might just be one of those things that's commonly attributed to the Bible, but it's actually not from the Bible. But the Bible allegedly describes building a house on a foundation of sand. If you build a house on a foundation of sand, what's going to happen to the house? The house will fall over eventually. It's only a matter of time. So similarly, if you take shelter of your wife and your children and your wealth and your home and this idea of aham mameti, I and mine, then it's only a matter of time until you're frustrated, until you suffer, because there's no real security there. There's no real anything there. It had no existence in the past. It'll have no existence in the future, and it's only here for a present moment. For some flickering moment. So practically it's not even real. Of course we do acknowledge that it is real, but it's so temporary, it's so flickering that practically it shouldn't even be acknowledged as real. So in this deluded condition of life, of being attached to the material body, Prabhupada compares it to like a hog being attached to eating stool. It's such an abominable thing, eating stool. But still the hogs, they like it. They like to eat stool. They think it's very pleasurable. And so similarly, the attraction, this bodily attraction, it's very abominable. It's very disgusting, actually, that these bodies, like this verse is describing, they're full of stool and urine. It's a very disgusting place. And there's one devotee who kind of graphically puts it that this bodily attraction, it's like he particularly is describing this attraction to this sex desire. He's describing it as uniting plumbing devices, because that's what it is. This body it's a very disgusting place, and it's full of stool and urine and all kinds of abominable substances. But we take it to be a source of happiness, just like the hog takes eating stool to be a source of happiness. But one who has some kind of knowledge, who has some realization about reality, they understand that actually it's a very fallen condition. and they have no taste for it. And when they see people engaging in this activity, they feel so much compassion for them. They feel like, wow, look at this person. It's so sad to see them in this condition. So similarly, the devotees of Krishna, when they see people engaging in sense gratification, even if it's, whether it's gross sense gratification or whether it's subtle sense gratification, intellectual sense gratification, still the devotees, they feel so sorry for these people that they're just completely deluded into thinking that they found happiness. And oftentimes they're not even convinced that they've actually found happiness. They're still looking. We see like so many advertisements. They say, buy this and then you'll be happy. Buy that and you'll be happy. They're preying on people's frustration. People in this world are so frustrated, so completely frustrated. So the Srimad Bhagavatam gives us the alternative. Prabhupada says in this purport, therefore by practicing the mystic yoga system, one can become detached from bodily relationships. So in the Bhagavad Gita, in a number of places, but particularly I thought this verse was nice and pertinent to this purport and to this verse. Krishna is defining yoga. Yoga means to reconnect, like a yoke. Like we're being reconnected with Krishna. And Krishna says, Maya sakta mana partha yogam yunjan madashrayaha asamshayan samagramam yachta gyasasi tashranu. So he says to Arjuna, just hear about how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in truth free from doubt. So yoga means to be reconnected with Krishna, to have our minds attached to Krishna. And in this way to overcome the material nature, to overcome our material conditioning. And it's very difficult to overcome our material conditioning. It's extremely difficult. Daivi hesha gunamayi mama maya dhritya mam evi prapadyante maya metam trantite. It's extremely difficult. Krishna, he's the controller of Maya. He's the Maya is his servant. But still, even Krishna, he's saying that this Maya is extremely difficult to overcome. So how do we overcome it? We have to lose faith in material life completely. That's the first step. We have to completely lose faith in the prospect that there's any happiness in this world. And we do this by engaging in the process of Krishna consciousness. That's one way. But another way is even just living in this world. So many people, they're losing faith in material life. This New Age movement now, it's based upon the fact that people are losing faith in material life. They're losing faith that just by gross sense gratification, some people, of course, also this whole New Age thing is just, it's kind of like a subtle sense gratification. They're still engaging in so much sinful activity. But at least they're seeing, in some way, that just like the normal day-to-day kind of, sense gratification that people are engaging in, there's no happiness in it. And in the Srimad, earlier in the 5th canto, we were hearing about Maharaj Priyavrata. Maharaj Priyavrata, he was induced, convinced, or I guess following the order of Lord Brahma. He ruled the world. There was nobody to rule the world. And so Maharaj Priyavrata was very qualified. He was a brahmachari. He was engaging in austerities at, I think it was Bandra Mountain. Excuse me. And then, so he was convinced, okay, this is your duty to rule the world. So he ruled for, I think, over 1 billion years. I think it was like 1,100 million years, which is 1.1 billion years. For so long, he ruled the world. And he performed so many amazing activities. He carved out the oceans with his chariot. He followed the sun. And so many amazing activities Maharaj Priyavrata performed. But at one point, he had this realization. It just dawned on him. What am I doing? I've been ruling the world for over 1 billion years now. What am I doing here? Because his heart, where his heart was in hearing and chanting about Krishna. That's where his heart was. And so he left. He renounced his entire kingdom, the entire world, and he went back to Mandara Mountain and engaged in hearing and chanting about Krishna. And so this hearing and chanting, this is the primary form of devotional service. This is our bread and butter, as they say. Prahlad Maharaj has this verse: Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Pada Sevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyamatma Nivedanam. The first step, Shravanam Kirtanam, to hear and chant about Krishna. And there's a verse, I mentioned it in the last class, but it's pertinent to this class also. And it's one of my favorite verses. Pibantiye bhagavata atmana satam gathamritam shravanaputesha samritam punantite vishaya vidushitashayam vajanti tat charanav suroru hantikam. So this is in the second canto of the Srimad. I think it's the last verse of the second chapter, or the third chapter of the second canto. And this verse is enjoining us to drink in this katamrita, this nectarian vibration about Krishna through our shravana puteshu, our hearing holes, our ear holes. And this is the way to purify our vishaya vidushatashayam, our polluted aim of life. Right now in the neophyte stage, our aim of life is polluted. We still have the aim to enjoy sense gratification, whether it's conscious or subconscious. But just by hearing Krishna Katha, by engaging in this process, our aim of life can be rectified, and then our life will be aimed toward the lotus feet of Krishna, and that's our goal: to be reinstated in our position as a servant at the lotus feet of Krishna. And so we're so lucky to have the Srimad Bhagavatam as given to us by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, because he's given us this most valuable tool for getting out of the material world. I mean, the Srimad Bhagavatam doesn't mince words. This verse it's heavy. It doesn't mince words. And this is the function of hearing Krishna Katha, is that it cuts our faith in material life, and then simultaneously it establishes our faith, or helps us develop an attraction to Krishna's pastimes and to Krishna's personality, to Krishna himself, and to serving Krishna, the process of devotional service. So this is the goal of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And so when we're engaged in hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, when we're engaged in studying the Srimad Bhagavatam, we shouldn't study it superficially, because if we do that, then we won't develop proper attraction. The message won't enter into our hearts. The Bhagavatam is extremely powerful, but so is Maya. The dirt which is covering our heart is so thick that if we don't really hunker down and have the determination to really, really study the Srimad Bhagavatam, then it will take, of course, any study of the Srimad Bhagavatam is good. There's no loss, there's no diminution. We can only gain from studying the Bhagavatam. But our advancement will be so much slower if we don't really, really make an effort to associate with the Srimad Bhagavatam submissively. Burijan Prabhu has this what would you call this? This idea of prayerful reading. When we're reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, we should do it in a prayerful mood. Not that we should try to conquer the knowledge in the Srimad Bhagavatam by some kind of like rote memorization. That I've memorized so many shlokas. I can very scientifically break down all the different chapters of all the different cantos. I know the flow, and I can quote this verse or this commentary and this commentary, and that's great. We should do that. We should have a very Prabhupada said we should study the Bhagavatam scrutinizingly. But at the same time, if we're doing it with the mentality of trying to conquer or lord it over the knowledge of the Srimad Bhagavatam, then like this verse is saying, and like that other verse that I quoted is saying, it's Shrama Eva Hi Kevalam, because we won't develop love for Krishna. The point of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the point of reading it, and the point, the intent that Srila Prabhupada had in giving us the Srimad Bhagavatam, and that Shukadeva Goswami had, and all of the previous acharyas, is to give us the association of the great personalities who are present in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and to give us the association of Krishna. So if we have this mentality that here I am, I'm here with Krishna, I'm here with Shukadeva Goswami, I'm here with Srila Prabhupada, with Vishwanath Chakravarti Ṭhākura, with Srila Sridhar Swami, with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Ṭhākura, etc., etc. If we have this mentality that this is my chance, this is my intimate association with the previous acharyas, then we'll be able to properly appreciate the Srimad Bhagavatam. We'll be able to understand the reality of what we're doing in reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. And to have this determination and to have this understanding, it elicits the mercy of the previous acharyas, so that the message that they're bringing can enter into our hearts and really purify us. Nashta prayashva badreshu nityam bhagavata sevya. It'll cleanse all of the abhadras within our heart, all the unwanted things within our heart, the inauspicious things within our heart. If we keep at it, if we keep studying the Srimad Bhagavatam in this mood. And it's a very urgent thing, actually. Sometimes, it's we kind of, if we're reading or if we're hearing, we might kind of let our minds wander and not really take the message in. But we have to really, really control the mind. And whenever it goes anywhere but the subject matter at hand, we have to bring it back, just like when we're chanting japa. When we're chanting japa, it's the same thing. We're chanting and we're chanting and we're chanting, and then when the mind goes somewhere else, we bring it back. And we focus again on the chanting. So it's the same thing with our reading and with our hearing. It should be extremely focused. One pointed attention. Vivasayatmika would hear eke hakurananda. We should have one pointed attention on the subject matter at hand. So that we can really, really go deep into it. Because it's urgent. It's very, very urgent. Srila Prabhupada made the point that Parikshit Maharaj, he had the good fortune of knowing that he had 7 days left. But we don't know if we have 7 minutes. We don't know if we have 7 seconds. Mukunda Charana Prabhu, after class yesterday, he told this story of this brahmachari in Juhu. Was that you? That was you, right?
No, I didn't.
Really?
Someone else said you got electrocuted?
Yeah.
That was me.
Oh, really? Okay, anyway. Somebody told it. I can't remember. Maybe it was Devavrata. Yeah, right. It was Devavrata. Devavrata Prabhu told the story of this brahmachari in Juhu just recently. He was just getting ready for bed, and you can imagine you're in a very relaxed mood. You're getting ready for bed. You're thinking about the day, tomorrow, what's going to happen, what you're going to do. There's no that. It's a very comfortable kind of safe time. You're like, okay, I've made it through the day, and then he was the floors in Indian bathrooms. They're wet. There's a lot of water there apparently, and also the what would you say, the outlets or the electrical fixtures, they're not grounded. So he was there, and he was just going to switch off the light so he could go to bed in the bathroom. He was leaving the bathroom. He was just switched off the light. He touched the switch and he was electrocuted, and that was it. Finished. So, you never know. You never know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen. Just recently, our own Rajendra Nandana Prabhu, he had some back pain, some pain in his back, and he thought, I just have some muscle problem or something like that, And then just some weeks later, he found out it was spinal cancer. It spread all over his body, and 2 weeks later, he left his body. Of course, he went back to Godhead. It was all auspicious, but you never know. For us, we never know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen. So whenever we're hearing, whenever we're chanting, we should have this understanding that this could be the last time I chant japa. This could be the last time I engage in hearing about Krishna. So we should really, really hunker down and understand how, what's the Kamala dala jala jivana talamala Bajahu haripada nitire. That this life, this human life it's teetering on just like a drop of water on a lotus petal. It's just teeter-tottering, It's such an unstable position, insecure position. But due to our bewilderment, we think that it's very, we're safe. We think that we're very comfortable. We think, I'm even devotees. We think, okay, now I'm in the ashram and I'm comfortable and there's no Maya here. I'm safe, and I'm free from it. But even then, we in the history of our movement, we've seen so many big leaders in our movement, sannyasis. They write a letter one day saying, I can't do it anymore. They give up their position just like that. So we should never think that we're safe. We should never think that we're safe on a material level, that this body is a safe place to be, and that nothing can touch us. We should also never think that we're safe spiritually, that we're free from Maya. My spiritual master, His Holiness Bhakti-yoga Swami Maharaj, he gives this example. I'm not sure exactly who he was talking about, but there was one sannyasi apparently who one day he declared, "I'm free from sex desire." He made this public statement. Within a matter of days, he was finished. Within a matter of days. And he made the point that practically, if you think you're safe, if you really are convinced, I'm safe from Maya, I'm free from sex desire, I'm free from the desire to enjoy the results of my activities, practically you can count down the days until you're finished. Maya will just smash you. Because that's what she does. She has the covering potency and then the throwing potency. So if you think that you're safe from Maya, you can understand, okay, if you see somebody who says, I'm completely free from Maya, you can understand they're covered. And it's only a matter of time that they'll be thrown back down into material existence. So this body is an anartha. It's unwanted. It's not needed. We don't need it to serve Krishna. Our engagement in the process of devotional service in this human form of life, we're making the best of a bad bargain. This world is in a class that Rajendra Nandanapur gave shortly before he left. He said this body is our prisoner's uniform. And this world is a prison for the criminally insane. And that's such a perfect understanding, such an accurate representation of what this world is, because it's described in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam that this life is trying to be happy in this world. It's like trying to be happy sitting next to a poisonous snake who's coiled up and is about to strike. Only an insane person could be happy in such a situation. Anybody who's really thoughtful or who knows the reality of the situation, they'll be very afraid. And that's not weakness. That's not, people have this idea, I'm not afraid to die. They think they'll somehow figure it out themselves, that they'll conquer death. But it's useless. It's useless and it's unintelligent. The real intelligent position is to think, okay, I'm in this bad situation. How can I get out of it? Is there anything beyond it? That's the real intelligent position. So we should remind ourselves that yes, there is something beyond it. We know from the Srimad Bhagavatam from the previous acharyas, that there's a whole world beyond it. The spiritual world we hear in the 10th canto, and we hear about, you know, so many pastimes of Krishna. They're so ecstatic. They're so amazing. This is reality. Anytime we're having this kind of some realization of this, sometimes Krishna, he gives us little, you know, drops of mercy where we have some realization. Wow, Krishna's pastimes are so ecstatic. I really want to go back to Godhead. I want to be with Krishna. We should understand that this is reality. We should remind ourselves, anytime we have some kind of experience like this, we should remind ourselves, okay, this is reality. And if we keep doing this, if we keep reminding ourselves, okay, Krishna is reality. And this material world has, practically speaking, no reality. Then at one point, this realization will stick. And we'll be fixed in devotional service. And we'll be fixed, we won't have a stake in this material world anymore. And our consciousness will be lifted to the spiritual world. That's where we'll be. Although we're here, we'll be in the spiritual world. And so when this body ultimately dies and we have to leave, there's no change for the devotees. Because the activities that they're engaged in continue. They continue on in the spiritual world eternally. And that's our birthright, is to be fully blissful, fully eternal, and fully knowledgeable about our relationship with Krishna, and to be constantly engaged in this ecstatic service of serving Krishna and making him happy. And so when we do that even in this world, then Maya can't touch us. This material energy, it can't touch us. It has no real effect on us. But if we engage just superficially, just going through the motions, and if we don't go deep into Krishna consciousness, then Shrama evahi kevalam. It'll be a waste of time, because our advancement will be so slow that we'll have to take birth again and again and again until we finally get it through our heads that the only business we have here is to engage in devotional service. So it's a little late, but I'll stop there and we can have questions and comments.
One announcement and one comment.
Okay.
Just again, I neglected to announce at the meetings in the morning that Dharmaseta Prabhu was going to have a wedding here from 11:30 to 12:30, and he requested devotees not be in the temple at that particular time.
Okay.
And if you would allow me to share, I think I shared this recently, but it's ever fresh, from the Krishna Katastaka in the 12th canto, text 49 and 8 verses after that. I'm sorry, 48 and 8 verses after that. So this is the text 49. I'm just going to read the translation. Words that do not describe the transcendental personality of Godhead, but instead deal with temporary matters, are simply false and useless. Only those words that manifest the transcendental qualities of the Lord are actually truthful, auspicious, and pious. Hare Krishna. Those words describing the glories of the all-famous personality of Godhead are attractive, relishable, and ever fresh. Indeed, such words are a perpetual festival for the mind, and they dry up the ocean of misery. So who would not partake of those words?
Festival.
Eternal festival of the mind. Dimitri Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you for the class, Amogha. So my question is, what a Vaishnava should do if he's feeling the effects of Maya, like right away? What should a Vaishnava do if he's feeling lack of enthusiasm, or he doesn't want to chant his rounds or read? What is like an immediate thing that he should do?
Do it anyway. Because the point is that we should be regulated. Radhe Shamprabhu gave me this advice that I've been following, and it's been so amazing. It was some of the best advice I've ever been given in Krishna consciousness, is that if you just have a regulated time every day where you hear and chant, no matter what is going on, no matter what, you stop everything. Okay, I'm going to hear, of course, within reason, but no matter what, at this time I'm going to hear and chant. At this time I'm going to read Srimad Bhagavatam. Then the mind if you just follow it and you stick to it, then the mind has, it helps you control the mind. But if you're unregulated about it, and you just kind of like, try to find a time throughout the day, it's like, okay, well, I got to do this and I got to do that, then the mind will get the better of you, and it won't happen. And I've had this experience so many times, actually, that if I don't read at like a particular time, and I just try to find some time throughout the day, between this or that and this and that, then it just doesn't happen most of the time. A lot of the time, it just doesn't happen. Because the mind gets the better of you, and you think, okay, well, I got to do this now, I got to do that now. So one thing is to just do it anyway. Just control the mind and just do it anyway. And pray. Pray to Krishna, pray to Śrīla Prabhupada. That we can develop some taste. And just really focus on it. Don't think of anything else, and just really focus on what it is. Think this is my time that I'm going to really focus wholly and solely on Krishna Katha. That's what comes to mind. Maybe Balaram Prabhu has something else.
So if a person, because often we may get the advice that, oh, Prabhu, you need to pray.
Yeah.
Pray. And then someone would say, I am praying. I'm praying every day. I'm praying numerous times a day. I've been praying for years, but so what does that mean? If my prayer is not being answered, or if a person's prayer is not being answered, what would we say about it? Does that mean they're insincere? Be careful here.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Recorded. It's been recorded.
Yeah. So I think the main
I'm
point.
just joking.
Yeah. I think the main point is to just do it anyway, even if you don't want to, and then do it in a prayerful mood. Because you could say, okay, say like you don't want to chant your rounds, and you're just sitting there, oh Krishna, please give me some taste for chanting, please give me the strength and the motivation to chant my rounds. And then you're just waiting for it to come and you don't chant your rounds, then it's not going to happen. Like they say, God helps those who help themselves. So if Krishna sees that there's some effort, if you set some time, you block out some time during the day where, okay, this is where I'm going to chant. Even if I don't want to, I'm going to do it. Then Krishna will see, okay, this person's determined. Tesham satati yuktanam bhadatam priti.
What about in just other aspects? Someone may say, oh, I wish I was whatever, more pure in this way, that way, this way, that way, this way, that way. And I've been praying, and the person says, I've been praying for years. Does it, like, you could say, if somebody is praying and they've been praying for a long time, what is the reasons you could say that prayer is not being answered? Does that mean they actually don't want it and they're just saying they want it? Or does that mean there's some insincerity there? Or does that mean Krishna's just like, all right, well, you just keep on praying.
Yeah.
Well, you seem to be making a little progress, but just keep on praying. Keep at it.
Yeah.
Young lad, just keep at it. Eventually you'll make it. So what's going on there?
You're eating too much at night.
You're eating too much at night. Okay.
I think Vijay Prabhu has some thoughts.
To be sincere, we're trying to be sincere. If we're actually sincere, then we'll want to serve Krishna. We'll want to hear. We'll want to chant. We'll want to. But if we're like you just said, we're saying it, but actually in our heart, it's somewhere else. So we have to really pray. Not just this lifetime. Just we're trying to attain love for Krishna. It's not an easy thing. So we have to really pray for sincerity.
Yeah. And
if we're actually sincere, then Krishna will reciprocate. Yayatama papadyante tam satai vujamya.
Yeah, and also associating with devotees who have sincerity helps us develop sincerity ourselves. We develop the qualities of the devotees that we associate with. So if we say, okay, if I'm praying so much, I really want to be pure, but then we're going out and we're associating primarily with karmis or something like that, then it's, we can't really expect to make any progress.
Yeah, I was speaking to my spiritual master one time about this and about myself. And he was saying that, do you feel like you're getting better? I say, yeah, I feel. So because sometimes people, they want things to really happen quickly.
Yeah.
They want to be Krishna conscious really, fast, like fast as possible, right? But it doesn't happen like that usually. Yeah. So it's like a gradual healing. You're getting healed. It's a slow heal, slow healing process. Yeah. And but a lot of the times we cannot see ourselves the healing process. Just like when somebody's growing up, everybody's had that experience, or sometimes when you get older, you start saying this about other people. Oh, I haven't seen you for so many years. You've grown so much. And, and the kid's like, oh, sure, great. Another person telling me that, They can't see that they've grown, but that older people can see that they've grown. So we may not be able to see, but ourselves sometimes, growing spiritually, but we have that experience. You see somebody come to the temple, you see how in the modes of material nature they are, and you see how many misconceptions they have, and you see how they have so many issues and problems. But then over time, slow healing process, they start giving up their misconceptions, they start getting more out of the modes of material nature, they start developing more, reawakening good qualities, right? So you see it. So anyways, that's there too.
Yes.
Just as we know that prasadam is a very important aspect of our sadhana, really, tasting prasadam. But Prabhupada was very eager that the devotees learn how to prepare prasadam so that it's really, really attractive, tasty. And you read those early days where he himself used to cook, the Sunday feast. There's a few times and that happened in 22nd Avenue. And everyone was just totally blown away by the taste and the quality of it. And what I'm getting at is that there's a certain aspect, it's in deity worship. The deities are naturally beautiful, right? They beautify the ornaments that they wear. But it's a fact that when you have, pujaris who really take care and the devotees look, quote, materially beautiful, in other words, they're just beautiful, period. Anyone could walk in and say they're beautiful. Then that's really service. But at the same time, you're meditating on Krishna, and that's a very important aspect of Krishna consciousness. So what I'm getting at is that the Bhagavatam and the writings of the Goswamis are filled with beautiful creation prayers. Yes, they're in Sanskrit, but the austerity to learn, like the prayer of Queen Kunti, Tvahi me ananya vishaya mati marabhute sakrit. It's near the end of her prayers, which she's praying, please let my mind be drawn to you, let all my attraction be drawn to you, like the Ganges is flowing. These prayers are materially very, very beautiful. The Sanskrit is beautiful, and it perfectly articulates one of our central desires, if we're devotees at all. Let my mind be controlled and fixed on you. Let all my love be directed to you. There are prayers, the Namashtaka by Rupa Goswami. All these things are available now. Praying for attraction for the holy name. Isn't that what we want? Intellectually we know we want it, but the mind is going here and there. So if you offer that prayer, the holy name is a person, Krishna, and you find yourself, more taste. So what I'm encouraging the devotees to do is to take advantage of the incredible literatures that have been translated, primarily Bhagavatam, Śrīla Prabhupāda's Bhagavatam. And he recommended, adopt some of these prayers of Prahlad that especially attract you. Vitrasura, at the end there, when he's about to leave his body, these beautiful prayers. Jayawani Maharaj gave a class on one of them when he was here. It was really nice. Not this last time, but previous time. So these are aids for us to articulate. We know we have the feeling we want to progress, but but if you adopt these prayers, you get the mercy you know, of the Lord and those personalities who wrote the prayers. And this can be a breakthrough for your Krishna consciousness.
Jai. Vijay Krishna Prabhu, are you there? Oh, Dimitri, please.
It's about prasadam. I'm just was thinking, what would be the consequence of if devotees are not properly cooking prasadam, and if they're not taken to the proper etiquette, and like what would be the consequence for the yatra and for people who come visit us, you know, for Sunday feast and things like that. Yeah, like if we're not following the standard, and if we're making prasadam, and if it's coming out not tasty, over salty,
Like someone's unclean or something?
unclean, not so tasty, over salty, you know.
I would
Things like that.
leave.
Well, it seems like one question is like what, like the quality of like material, like physically the quality of the prasadam, and one is like the quality of the consciousness. Of the
Yeah,
prasadam.
like both. How would that affect the
Yeah, if the prasadam wasn't tasty, people wouldn't be attracted to come back. And if the consciousness wasn't proper, then one thing is that Krishna may not just may not accept it, and then it's not prasadam. And then also there's this idea that the consciousness of whoever's cooking, it enters into the preparation, so it affects others. Of course, if one's sufficiently pure, then. But even Śrīla Prabhupada one time they served him bread from it was made by his karma grains. Prabhupada said, "Never serve me that again. It gave me nightmares." Even Śrīla Prabhupada actually is affected. I heard that it was from one of his female servants.
There's another pastime. It'll take 30 seconds. It was early on in the movement. It was India, and Prabhupada was traveling, and there were big pandals, and the devotees were putting on big programs. So this one place, I forget where it was, but they were short of men and short of people, so they put up the tent and they had the kirtan and everything. But they hired some fellow to do the cooking.
Hyderabad.
How was it, Hyderabad? You know the past. And Prabhupada tasted it, and what is this? Who cooked this?
It's not suitable for a horse.
Yeah, it's the pastime, but it's not suitable for a horse, Prabhupada said. He was very angry at them. He said, they're not coming here to listen to your little lecture, all these people, they went to prasadam, and so it was essential factor that it be cooked by devotees, and it was devotion, and it tastes good, and so forth.
I think it was, sorry, just really quickly. I think it was one of the Goswamis, but they might be in Hari Bhakti Vilas, I think. But it said that grains cooked by non-devotees is equivalent to eating dog meat. Very heavy, actually, because anyway, yeah. It doesn't sound too good, Balaram Prabhu.
So, I mentioned this some time ago, but it was an interesting point. One devotee told me that in Tamal Krishna Goswami's Radha Damodar bus party, that one particular bus was kind of having a hard time. And then Tamal Krishna Goswami said, okay, he's a good man. All right, take this person out. Take the cook out. Change the cook. So then they changed the cook, and then everything was going okay after that. And then you analyze, well, how is that? Well, it could only practically be two reasons. One reason is that the person just didn't know how to cook very well. I mean, even materially. Maybe he's a great devotee, but he didn't know how to cook well. That is possible. Just because one's a pure devotee doesn't mean they know how to cook well. Or two, maybe he knew how to cook well, but the conscience was just bad. So it's an interesting point, though.
Yeah, Hari said with that Hyderabad thing, he said they didn't come to hear your pretty voice, they came for prasadam.
Yeah. Hari said that about
That's Hyderabad story.
about the kirtan. They didn't come to hear your kirtan.
Yeah, kirtan and maybe talk also. Yeah.
I would like to find that reference for dog meat.
Look at the cook, and the cook was actually smoking while he was stirring it.
Oh, really?
And they said that he said that actually he burnt the rice. It was actually burnt, and he set aside the best part of it for his own family. That's what Hari Shari said. He said he set it for those parts that he saved for his own family. Like the worst part, he's mixed it all together and he's serving it out.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can you use the microphone?
Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.